to computer. Okay, we're recording. And so everybody, what I'd like to do at this point is I would like everybody to face the flag if you can, stand, face the flag, and which if you could salute. And then Mr. Dolejs, I'm going to have Mr. Dolejs lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jason, if you could say, Jim, could you say the prayer today as an acting prayer?
Let's bow our head. Thank you, Lord, for us being well and healthy in this winter state. Look over our troops overseas or here stateside, and always keep our faith and our fraternity in terms of our allegiance together. Amen.
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 And Jason, could you do the preamble?
Preamble to Constitution. For God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in the Great Wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to the community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses, to make right the mastered might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship, our devotion to mutual helpfulness.
Okay, I declare this meeting of the Riverside American Legion Post number 04, please have a seat. I declare Riverside American Legion Post number 488, Department of Illinois, convened this 14th of February, 2020. I'd like to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day. Jason, if you could just take signatures of people that are in attendance, I'd appreciate it. My intent for the future is that we use these recordings on Zoom one way or another for Marla to type up minutes so that we can get back to doing minutes. I'd like to introduce guests first. I'd like to acknowledge John Neppel as one of our newest members. John, thank you for participating. I've known John for years, and I want to say thank you for him being there. I also want to recognize our past post commander, Mr. Dolejs. Mr. Dolejs is a great mentor to us all, and he's a great leader to the community, and I have great respect. And I wish to also acknowledge Alex. Alex, you are one way or another, I'm going to get you membership in our squadron as a Sons of the American Legion. Just give me some time to work it. But we have a new squadron. I want you wearing a cap, and I want you saluting Coach someday. That's a desire. Okay. So thanks for being here.
I'll salute you anyway.
He'll salute you anyways. Good call. What I've tried to do, what I've asked Jason to do in the past, and what we've talked about, is to try to maybe do a reading of a history of one of the 54. I don't know if Jason has had a chance to get a biography of one of the 54. But you know what? What I'd like to do is I'd like to ask Coach to just give 1 minute, Coach, of one of the 54 that you recall, and just tell us a story of somebody that you remember from your readings and research of our Riverside 54.
Okay. On the large plaque at the Gold Star Memorial in the World War II category, the first name, Abel, is his last name. That's why he's first on the list there, alphabetical. He was in the United States Navy, Submarine Division Command, just like Jason, and fighting throughout World War II. In one of their final assignments near the beginning of 1945, they were sent towards Japan to engage several Japanese submarines. And sadly, one of the Japanese submarines exploded the American submarine, and Naval Officer Abel is still at the bottom of the Japanese Ocean in the U.S. submarine along with all of his crew members. And that's sadly how he was killed in combat.
Coach, you know what the name of that submarine is?
I think Bob Upuse has the name, and I'll have to check.
Okay,
on
no
that.
big deal. If you don't have it right now, we can find out.
We're doing research on as many of the 54 as possible, and a lot of the information has not been posted on the internet, so we're relying on people that might be able to find newspapers from 1940, 41, all the way through 45. But you can imagine here in Riverside, there was probably a funeral every month during World War II as an average, since there were 44 men, young boys from Riverside, killed in action. Many of whom were 16, 17, 18, 19, all the way up to about 26, some in the early 30s. So I think his first name is Thomas Abel. And that's why he's listed number 1 on the World War II category.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to start all of our meetings from now on with something with a little bit of a bio of one of our 54, because I think between Jim, Connelly, and Coach, we've kind of got a sense that these are very important people in the community, and we need to understand their histories so that we can better teach other people in the community about their histories, because what they sacrificed should be remembered by all. And that's kind of one of our duties in the Legion, is to kind of keep sure that people are remembering those who have come before us and have done something, well, done something really heroic. From that point on, is that good? Yes.
Hey, so I know that eventually one of these days when we get our act together and all that, we have our own Olympics together, that we would like to get a booklet or some
Yes.
material. So 2 weeks ago, there was the Sox Fest downtown at McCormick Place. And there is a gentleman who retired as a colonel with the Marines. He owns a company called Man Cave. And I don't know if you've seen it. Have anybody ever seen that Peter Jackson film, They Will Not Get Old, where he took all the film from the Imperial War Museum from World War I and was able to use computer generated to give it some depth.
Oh, I've heard of this. You talked to me about that.
Basically, what he's doing is he is doing things with old baseball photos. So these old black and white scratchy photos from the newspapers and the glass plates, he's taking them with his CGA company called Man Cave, and they're bringing them alive, giving them a little more 3D depth and color and all that. And so if we ever get to the point where we get the names, the bios, and find photos, be it yearbooks and all that, he's willing to work with us at practically at no cost to redo those pictures and give them a more 3D clear. In fact, they were just talking this week about one of the first films ever done, a French film of a train coming into a station. They use CGI to clean it up, to give it depth, to give it some 3D, and it looks like it's our modern digital world. So we have some great options to honor these 54 once we get ourselves to getting it in the printing material.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I think that we've read about them. I want to go into our committee reports. First, I want to talk to Jason. Jason, do you have anything to say about membership? I can add to it if you wish.
No updates as of yet.
Okay, I can add to the fact that I talked to Tony Ward last week. We're still trying to take efforts to get a hold of the following people who there's still 4 people that have not paid their membership, and those people are, and to the extent that any of you know these folks, I would really appreciate any help. One is Irvin Aronowski. He's in Homer Glen, and I don't know if anybody's been able to get a hold of him. I've sent cards, I've sent letters, personal notes to him over the holidays. Terrence Farmer, who's on 216 Waubonsee Road.
Say it again?
What?
Bobber?
It's Terrence Farmer.
Mr. Dolejs has something to add.
Aronowski is 94 years old. He's still a fought in Italy during the Second World War, and he's very ill. He just lost his wife, so he's very, very down, but he's still alive.
Okay, well, what I'm gonna do, Mr. Dolejs, is I'm out of my own pay. I'm gonna pay for his membership this year. I'm gonna send him a note. And,
Irvin.
but,
E-I-N.
but we really need somebody to at least try to go there and visit him and just touch bases with him. So I think Mr. Ward may make that effort. Then I will, what I'll do, again, I'll pay his membership for this year. And then we'll try to get somebody there to talk to him. In terms of Terrence Farmer and Richard Folks, I've tried calling him, tried emailing him. I've tried sending letters, if any, and he lives at 168 Addison Road.
So I've stopped at Mr. Folks' house
And how's he doing?
at least 4 times and not gotten anybody. So on Addison, it's the Purple House. You guys know the one? So yeah, I've stopped by a few times, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him. As far as Mr. You said Farmer on Wabanzi?
Yes.
I have a listing on Wabanzi, a few houses down from there. I didn't know he lived over there. So that's 194, you said?
216 Wabansi Road.
Oh, 216. What's the name? Terrence Farmer, right?
Yes.
All right, I can reach out I can try to get Terrence.
And then the last person is Frank Gressick, who's on 382 Bartram Road.
He was a good engineer for many years.
Well, see, Mr. Dolejs, my concern is not so much dues. My concern is making sure we check on people to make sure they're doing okay. And when I don't hear from them, when I don't get and by the way, I don't call people a lot of times just to get dues. I sometimes just call to check in with them. And so at least one of our members, which is Mr. O'Connell, I literally found out that he was at the Scottish home. Well, whatever they're calling it now, I don't recognize it.
O'Connell's in the Scottish home.
Yeah, and I found out about it because you know, I called the police chief and I said, hey, can you do a check on the man? Because I think that's ultimately our responsibility. We need to make sure a commander in the military, soldier doesn't show up, you go to the soldier's home. So my concept is I want to make sure people are okay, because if something is happening, if something happened and we don't know about it, for example, let's say somebody's sick, I want somebody to be visiting him or her, or him or her at the hospital. If I'm in town, I'll visit. If the person has deceased, we need to know what's going on, and we need to be able to, I need to send flowers. In other words, we need to do what's right. And that's just neat thing about membership. But on the positive note, if I can get these remaining 4 people paid up, that will put our membership over 30 people. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot of people, but you know, let's face it, Mr. Dolejs, when you and I met about 4 years ago, how many people showed up at the restaurant? Was it 3?
Not too many.
Not too many. So the fact that we're over that we were over 30 in our membership, the fact that we have a new squadron, the fact that we have Coach and Jim actively recruiting people for the squadron, young people, we're in the right direction. Is it going to happen overnight? No, but I never figured things were going to happen overnight. It takes time, and it's like everything. It's like the memorial. It just takes time. You just got to stick with it, because when you don't stick with it, then people ignore you. The more you're in their face, then people acknowledge you. So we just keep at it, and we will ultimately we will do well. So the big thing with in terms of membership with the squadron, most of the folks, just so you all know, most of the folks down in Bloomington have been going around the state doing membership drives. So I haven't been able to really talk to the powers that be about the squadron, but I do know that Jim Connelly and Coach now are officially on the squadron rolls. I just need to make sure that you guys are now reflected as the commander and vice commander, so that you're official on the books, even though we all know you're the commander and vice commander, but I just need to make sure that you're on the books and right. It'll take time, but just give it time and we'll make it sure. We'll make sure it works. Okay. Any questions about membership? And by the way, membership means let's get more members. You know, even if people don't show up to the meeting, they can call in. They can call into this meeting. They can Zoom in to this meeting. The point we're trying to do, Jason and I are trying to make it so that people have access to information, whether it be on the website, whether it be at the meetings. And if you show up, you get free food. And Connie's just told me that they are literally on their way. So you're going to get food tonight. So you're not going to walk away hungry.
It's
so
here.
It's here. There it is. So, and I'll take care of the bill later on, and Andy knows that. So any other questions about membership? Any other ideas, suggestions, anything to contribute to the committee report on membership? Nothing?
Good question on the internet communication.
Yes.
Is there any indication of who might be watching?
Today it's just me. There's nobody else calling in or anything like that. And I think part of that, coach, is, I mean, I tried to make it very easy on the agenda today, because Jason and I are convinced that we need to have a strong agenda. And so what I did on the agenda, and this is something I see in corporate America, they actually list on the agenda how you can call in, how you can dial in, how you can access through Zoom. So so coach, concept, like for example, coach, let's say you're having a meeting or something, or some coaching thing. You can go on to Zoom through your telephone, through an app. You can actually do what I'm doing, what you see me right now doing on your phone. Or if you want to be old fashioned like me, you call in. So there's a phone call and you use the dial in location from New York. You use the New York one. You don't use the San Jose number. And it's not a bad deal. I think some people don't want to, they're afraid they're going to get charged for the long distance call. You know what? Today it's cell phones, doesn't really matter where you're calling from.
I was curious, does it show up on your computer?
Yeah, I can see I'm the controller, so I can see who's either calling in or who's on, and it's just me and Jason. So,
okay.
You know, we got, I think, so what I'm also going to do is Zoom has a recording option, which I'm doing right now. I'm recording, and then we'll post this meeting on our website so people can see the information that's put out. But you can also do interviews. So for example, or talk to people. So for example, we could do interviews like I'm doing right now to you all. Instead of you all in the audience, it could be one person. Like I could do an interview of Mr. Dolejs, and Mr. Dolejs could be on the other side of the camera, because I know Mr. Dolejs has a camera now, a webcam in his office. I know he does, because he got a webcam for a Christmas gift from somebody I know. So I could be interviewing Mr. Dolejs, and he could be talking to me in the webcam. I could be recording it and I could post it. And it's just a very inexpensive way to get people's views and things. And by the way, Coach and Jim, for any of those soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines from Riverside that are, you know, all over the world, we can record an interview of them and post it. We just use what I'm doing right now, Zoom. Pretty neat, huh?
Yep.
Now, in terms of community outreach and public relations, I put down my name, but you know, let's talk about what we're trying to do with community outreach. Jason, you have any talking points or talking bullets or comments about reaching out to our community? Because you know what the goal is for Memorial Day. I need somebody to sponsor 500 poppies at $2 a piece. I want to raise $1,000 at Memorial Day. That's my ultimate goal. Any thoughts, Jason? Any comments from everybody?
Well, I know my brokerage is good for a couple $100s at least. So there's that.
Okay.
And then I don't know, I can't remember offhand when our next the Riverside Chamber of Commerce meeting is, but when that happens, if we have enough time, I was going to put word out through that to the different businesses. So, but,
well, Jim Connelly and I were talking today, and we're going to talk about the Gold Star Memorial for New Business. But, you know, we have money. We have about $48,000 in the CD. The operational account is about $800 right now. We can't, I mean, I can keep spending money until the cows come home. We can do it for years, but we're losing money. We got to replenish the funds. And so at a certain point, we need to have a way to raise funds. And I got to tell you something, the poppy idea for Memorial Day, raising $1,000 with poppies so that everybody has a poppy at the event, I think that says a lot. So we need to think of creative ways to do this. And if that means sponsorship, I mean, we can buy poppies like you can't believe, but then the question is, how do we then distribute it and who wants to then pay for it? Because I'm telling you right now, sitting in front of Riverside Foods and paying $500 for liability insurance to raise maybe $30 for poppy sales for somebody sitting at a table is inefficient. It doesn't work. Just doesn't work.
You know, a good example, like last summer, I ran into one of the sons that run Blood Brothers, who not only did they grow up here in Riverside, they also have the contract here. And the eldest father just was honored by the Irish Brotherhood for their Christmas party, and I did plant the seed on them. So we just need to go out there, be it Marla or Jason or me, just talk about the things that we're doing. The key thing is, like with Dan, with Mr. Barnum, hey, we're giving flowers to them. Our service guys that are in service that happen to pass away, we're honoring them. We're making sure that our memorial is taken care of. We are sponsoring a Boy State. So the things that we're doing is for the community, and that's our best selling point.
Coach, that reminds me, can you reach out to the Boy Scouts, to the troop, and see if there's any interest in a Boy State participant this year? And frankly, who was on the committee last year? Can anybody remember who was on the committee last year that did that?
So was Ron.
Can you guys do what you did last year and break off, and we'll have another listing for committee. We'll have a Boy State committee for next meeting. Can you just figure out, can you, I forgot what we did last year, but I could you do that again? Because I think it would be good to have another Boy State student again this summer. And
It has to be a junior who's going to be a senior.
And Coach, are you stronger with 24 or with the St. Mary's troop?
I communicate with all of them.
Okay. Because I just saw a whole bunch of them 2 weeks ago. And they're at St. Mary's that were giving that were receiving their four scouts from the St. Mary's troop received their Catholic Religious Award 2 weeks ago.
From St. Mary's?
Right.
and just find out if there's any interest, because I'd like to ultimately take a vote to authorize, and I'll find out what the costs are again, and I'll send it to you, Coach, because I think we can get a vote on, a scholarship again, because the individual we had last year, I think was in Troop 24, but he lives in Stickney, which I don't understand that, but that's fine. I don't mind. I don't care if somebody's from Stickney. I don't care if they're from Chicago. If they're a member of the local troop, let's support them. But we need to get the word out to them that we're willing to finance, some people, and we'd like to know if there's any interest, because we really need to get we really need to make a decision before May. And frankly, I'd like to be able to announce at the Memorial Day event who they are. That'd be really neat, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be neat if we could do that?
And Troop 24 has outreach to all different communities, not just Riverside. So that's why that boy is from Stickney.
Okay, if you could do that, and you guys are now appointed as committee members. Congratulations. Go to it.
Now that you're talking to 24 and St. Mary's, remind them there is money available through the American Legion for National Order of the Arrow conferences coming up this summer. Next summer is for the Jamboree. There is a scholarship for $100 for a summer camp. And then if there's leaders who are American, there are other scholarships. So the American Legion, as well as a patch you can earn through the American Legion from scouting, the Lincoln patch, and you can name state flowers, state bird, state this and that. It's a pretty nice patch, but again, it's all about promoting and letting them know. Okay.
And then the other thing that I didn't list, and Alex, you're right, I didn't put it on the thing, but I'd like to, it's kind of new business, but I'd like to put it out now because it's community outreach. Alex would like to know if we'd be involved with, get involved with the lantern ceremony again, and I'd like to ask.
This is a Legion event.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's that's right. I guess it is a Legion event. Thank you.
It's a Legion event. It's not an Alex Gallo's event.
Sorry, Alex. I apologize. I'm getting old.
But Coach and I did talk about this last year. It was supposed to be on the Friday before Memorial Day Monday. Weather forecasts were not in our favor.
No, they were horrible.
so we held off until Flag Day, another appropriate day. Coach and I discussed it, and it may not be so good to schedule them on the same weekend, and maybe we do spread them out so that we have another River Lantern Night on Flag Day or Flag Day weekend. So I want to throw it out there to the room to see what the consensus is on that issue.
Also, Flag Day weekend is the 13th and 14th of June.
That's right.
Yeah, fairly connected.
So we could have a Friday night like we had last time, which was the 14th, or we could have it on Sunday night. But is that military appropriate? Is that,
I don't see a problem with that, but is there any discussion about this from anybody? I think it's great to do. I'd like to do this again. I would make sure that I was there for that's the second weekend of June. That would be great.
I mean, we got nothing but positive feedback on it.
Yeah,
And
we did.
Those lanterns, I think they cost us, what, $1.88?
Yeah.
And we sold them for $5. I mean, people had no issue with buying a number of them, each one. So not that was intended to be a fundraiser, but
No.
certainly, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. I think we have at least 2 members that we want to acknowledge that night now with Don Farnham, and the other one is he died last July.
Right, we were at a service at Woodlawn.
William.
I know you, I've got the mass card at home.
Okay.
So I know who he is.
So would you like to post this as a vote for anybody? Like vote on?
Which date would we rather have? The 12th, which is a Friday night, or Sunday, the 14th?
What do y'all think?
What do you suggest?
You're suggesting either a Friday or a Sunday,
Yes.
not Saturday?
What do you suggest?
I think let's do it on the 14th, because that's Flag Day date.
Yeah.
And
That's a Saturday though, right?
no, that's a Sunday, I believe. The 13th is Saturday.
Make sure.
14th is Sunday.
Yeah, so the 14th is again Flag Day night.
14th is Sunday, Marla?
I mean, it does get a different crowd than the church does on Memorial Day Monday. So now this will help with that community outreach.
Yes, it will.
Some of the more younger families and children more involved with this. Like I said before, I do want to do an event for Veterans Day weekend in November, but we can talk about that later on. But let's get this in the mailing that the village sends out on the water bill, so people know to expect this on.
I'll move that we vote on the 14th as the date for the lantern event, and I also move that we authorize Alex. How much money, Alex?
Well, last time you just ordered them and sent them to my house.
Oh, that's right.
Do that again.
Yeah, authorize, Alex, if you just help me with the logistics, I'll pay for the bill. So if you could authorize us to spend $300 max?
I think that's about what it was.
Yeah.
You know what? I might have saved it in my phone bill because you sent it to me.
I'll second the motion.
Because we ordered 100 of them because it was our 100th
And
year.
I still have some extra ones. I still have some extra ones, Alex, that I can do an inventory of, and I still got some materials. So
Yeah, I got those to you then. That's great.
yeah, I got them. Don't worry, I got them secured. I'm
Now,
a pack rat.
He brought a Legion flag and an American flag. I'm assuming that's Legion property, not his.
Yeah, we will bring the Legion flag, and we have the Legion flag and an American flag that we can put up as well.
And then Tom and I also think that the scout troops in our village should also be involved somehow. I don't know how exactly, but
That's
they're young people and we want to bring them in some way.
I will let you and Coach kind of deal with the details, and I'll second the motion from Mr. Dolejs. All those in favor for the 14th and $300 max budget, say aye.
Aye.
All those who don't favor, say nay. Ayes have it. So Alex, you got it. And I will help you, and I'll be working with you and Coach to make it happen. And Marla is in the back. I just saw her come in. So Marla, Jason, everybody, in terms of the poppies, we have more than 500 poppies right now. It would be great if we could have another sponsor to support us in terms of the poppies, so we could hand poppies out at the Lantern Day as well. I don't know how many poppies we have, but I think, Jim, what was it, 750 when all was said and done? or was it 800? We got more than 500, but it's 500 poppies for the Memorial Day function. And then say, how many people showed up last year, Alex, for the lantern event?
I don't know. I think we did sell like 80-ish lanterns. But
So
again, families, all for one person. So
it would be great if we found a sponsor, a corporate sponsor for poppies for maybe say 150, maybe 200 poppies. No, 150 poppies for the lantern day, because I think getting the poppies out is important. People need to be seen with the poppies. But
Legion poppies.
Legion poppies, but I'm telling, and they say Legion poppies on it. The problem is that idea of sitting in front of the grocery store, it's not workable. It's not workable in Riverside.
Can I backtrack for a second?
Sure.
And I'm all in favor of the lantern thing. Just have Coach check to see which week these troops are going summer camp. Because you don't want to say we're going to get the troop together and we find out that's their week, they're going to summer camp. So we can find that ahead of time. So.
Yeah, so Coach, if something comes up, if you talk to the troop and they say 14th's a no-go, we need to look at it again. But right now, we're going to schedule the 14th. And Alex,
I don't know if we would change the date because a troop couldn't be there. I mean, this is our event. We don't know how they're going to be involved.
Okay.
We want them.
But we can make sure that on the water bill, the Memorial Day event is on and the Lantern Day is on, right?
Yes.
Do that?
Yes, because Kathy Haley wants to know that as soon as possible.
Yeah, I understand.
Our manpower.
Okay.
And we'll get as many scouts that are available to be there.
We still don't know what we want them to do yet, other than we want them involved.
And remember, when you talk to these scouts, like the big thing is that I want scouts in the squadron. So tell the scouts what a deal. You pay $10 and you get a cap. So you pay $10 and you get $40 back. You get a cap, and you get opportunities to earn merit badges. What a deal! I mean, it's a win for them. So we need to get more. You need to pump up the squadron, Coach. You need to have that army of yours, the army of goodness. That's a joke, but it still sounds good. In terms of, so anything else about community? Marla, any comments about community outreach? I know you've been reaching out to people or talking to people. Anything?
So I reached out to Jim Franco, who was my guidance counselor and who is one of the longest guidance counselor at RBHS. I haven't heard back from him, so I'm going to touch base again. But after I didn't hear back from him first, I reached out to the Dean of Students, Mr. Sibley. Also didn't hear back from him, but he is retiring at the end of the year, so I was planning on sending him just a little thank you, because he's actually one of the only reasons I graduated RBHS, thanks to him. So I was planning on sending a little description again with my email in writing, asking him to reach out to me.
Thank you. I mean, I think, Jason, you can make a lot of, I think the Chamber of Commerce is a great place to get people. I really do. I mean, there's got to be folks that want to do corporate sponsorship. And I think that's the way to go, because otherwise every other way to do this is just, it doesn't make enough money. I don't know, maybe a dunk tank down the road. There's a number of people that don't like me, so maybe I should volunteer in a dunk tank for $5 a ball. I'm sorry, who else? Mr. Dolejs on a dunk tank, $10 a ball. I would pay $10 to dunk Mr. Dolejs. What do you think, Mr. Dolejs? No?
For $10, I'll be dunked.
So there's got to be ways to make money. Okay, and by the way, finance. Our operational account hasn't changed from the last meeting. It's about $850. We still have $1,000 in the escrow account, and then our CD is approximately $48,000. And as you all know, I have the interest from the CD directly placed into our operational account, so that allows me to, pay for minor things here and there like food and things like that. I've ordered a couple of caps this past month. I keep telling people to let me know what if they don't have a cap, they need to let me know. So I need their head size so I can order the cap. And what I do is I order the cap through Indianapolis, and the cap goes directly to the person's home. So, you know, it's again, the vote was taken sometime 2 years ago. Everybody that comes into the post will get a cap. And we can do that. And frankly, the more caps we have out there, the more people see us, the more likely they want to join. Not for the cap, I mind you, but they see us and they realize, hey, maybe I should get involved. So that's the finance part. So let's talk about new business and any other correspondence, and then I'll throw it open to everybody. Cleaning of, go. Yes, sir.
It's me, I'm here. I was late, but I'm here.
Oh, it's Mr. Ward. Hello, Mr. Ward. We talked about you earlier. Mr. Ward has been calling people, checking on people, and Mr. Ward, we found out the gentleman from Irvin from Homer Glen is 94 years old, and boy, we need somebody to check in on him in person. I'm going to pay for his dues, but we need somebody to check in on him because he's mature, and we need somebody to check in on him. Okay.
I understood. I just want to quickly point out we have 3 members of the post right here in Riverside. That's Mr. Farmer on Wabansie Road, Mr. Richard Phelps on Addison Road, and Mr. Gressick on Bartham Road.
Yes, sir. And we talked about it earlier. We talked about it earlier. We got it. But they all know. But don't worry about it. It's okay. But if you can
We reached out to them by phone a number of times. We have not been able to get in communication with them. As I leave them on the phone message, this is just a well-being check, brother. We just want to make sure you're okay and don't need anything. So if anyone who lives here, and if I get into Riverside and get running around these streets, I'm not going to get lost and not be seen to a spring thaw.
Right.
But if anyone could make it a point to go by one of these 3 addresses and just knock on the door and make sure that they're still okay, it'd be a great improvement because he's been worrying about it. I've been trying to get in communication, but not driving myself makes it kind of difficult. So if you could see me after the meeting, maybe take one of the names and we can at least check these things off that these guys are okay. That'd be appreciated.
And Mr. Ward, by the way, if nobody hears from any of these people, I will ultimately call the police chief. When I get to that point, I will send a note, either call or send a note to the police chief and say, sir, please do me a favor. We're worried.
We're not being checked.
Yeah, it's just part of it's just part of what we do. Okay, it's just part of what we do.
And it's easy for the police to knock on the next door neighbors and saying, hey, we're looking for our member. Do you have to know what's going on? Because sometimes the neighbors do, but again, nobody wants to give information to strangers. But if it's Riverside Police, they who are, they're a little bit more apt to tell stories.
These guys could just, pardon the expression, be snowbirds in Florida, and no one knows it. But it would be nice to put a resolution to it that we know that they're okay. They're not sitting in a hospital somewhere and no one knows they're there.
Okay, let's go on to new business and correspondence. Let's talk about cleaning of the Gold Star Memorial. Now, there's different debates on terms of, you know, should we leave the patina? Should we not leave the patina? Should we clean the plaque? Should we not clean the plaque? Well, Jim Connelly, I'm going to turn this over to Jim Connelly because Mr. Connelly and Marla have been talking with Mr. Bailey. Jim, can you tell everybody what you know at this point, or what information about?
I was here. I represented the American Legion in the census, and Ben and the clerk and a lot of people were there. They're excited about what we're doing to reinvigorate the Gunther Park. So, as you probably all heard, that Riverside has changed their art show. It's no longer in May, it's now in June. So we've got some time. The other thing they talked about was that because they've done the pole and all that, they feel that if we clean it up, get it either reglazed, relacquered, all that, it's going to be a little bit more visible, and people are going to say, I never realized it was there, or you know what, we need to pay more attention where if it's old and musty and dirty, people just walk by all the time. So they're very positive about that. So I was out in September at the Catholic Charities at Queen of Heaven, where they sponsored the mobile mobile,
Vietnam Wall.
there. And the Archdiocese has a company, JSL, that does all their restoration of brass, bronze, and copper. So these guys are the pros. They are individuals that when they do the job, they do it correctly. They came out and looked at it. Besides of cleaning and relacquering, there's a lot of ability to recaulk these areas that are attached to the stone, because when it's not caulked properly, that water will get underneath the stone and not only affect the quality of the plaque, but the rock itself. And so they gave it out some quotes about, first when they first walked out, they only looked at the main one. But then when I went out there and met them with Ed, who's the DPW guy, they said, well, we see the other stones as well as the plaque that's on the flagpole. And that needs to be recaulked. So again, the water gets behind it, as well as a little cleanup job. It looks pretty good, but it could use a little bit more cleaning around the letters. So the nice thing about that is if it does get done, that it's going to be good for another 100 years. And then the talk that Coach is saying about working with the Scout Troop and their organization, that yearly they come over there and what they call oil it, meaning just a non-abrasive cleaning, and there's a little bit of oil that you put on it. It will go not only 100 years, but maybe 200, 300 years. But again, it's to a point where it's pretty green, it's difficult to read, and it'll really brighten it up. It'll bring more attention to that area, and I think that's what we want to do. Is we always want to remember our 54 and make sure that they're in a clear view that we can know the names. And again, we can help by telling their stories.
What was the bottom line, sir? Did they give us a bottom line dollar?
Yeah. So all 6 of them, then again, got to remember that they have to employ union guys from that, so we're paying a union wage on that. But the thing with the Village of Riverside is you need to be bonded, you need to have special insurance, as well as you have to have a license to do business in Riverside. You probably know that, right? You know that anything else. So they've done work before here, and so the criteria of the bonding, the insurance, and the license, they're already set to go. So they told me that the materials, the lacquer, the Medina, and all that other stuff, it's about $1,000, and then the labor is about $5,000. So it's basically just over $6,000.
And that would include all of the brass, bronze that's there.
All the stones. So every stone
Would be cleaned, re-lacquered, and the bronze would be refinished.
And they're going to go out there and clean the cement. The cement there has some organic growth on there.
The new cement?
Yeah, it's brand new.
No, not the cement they landed on, but the cement in front of it.
The walkway.
The walkway.
The cement platform around the plaque.
Yeah. So not only going to do the plaque, they're also going to deal with the stone, getting all the organic material off of that, as well as on the sidewalk in front of it.
Is there any way that we can reduce our cost on that? I'm not complaining about the $1,000 for the plaques, because etching of those and refurbishing them is something that the untrained eye can't do.
I know.
But a bucket of water and a little dish soap and a couple of brushes to wash the stones is something we can do.
You get some CLR, get a couple of jugs of those,
Yeah.
you spray it down.
I've got an HPLB sprayer, I can spray lacquer with it,
Seal around.
so the thought of spraying the
$80
stone
stop right there.
is not a big deal. I spray wooden furniture with all the time.
Steve,
Can we reduce our cost?
Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I'd move that we get a second quote from another company, just so we know and we can compare.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Dolejs. In your efforts, or Jason, in your efforts in going around and talking to various business people in the world, in suburban area, do you know of anybody that we could approach that could get a second quote?
And not that has all the qualifications you're asking for, to be licensed in Riverside and bonded and insured. Those are qualities that most the people I deal with, they don't have it.
Have you heard? Yes. Okay, I don't know if cleaning something does require license bonding.
When I reached out to Mr.
You're not
Bailey
changing anything.
about doing a community cleanup for the stones, for the plaques and everything. What he told me is that everybody has to be insured. Mr.
Ed.
Bailey.
DPW guy.
Can I add some information as well?
You got it. It's open discussion.
I'd like to add some information. I also took the information that Jim spent a lot of time researching and talking with JSL, which is outstanding. But I also kind of perceived that this particular project that we're hoping to accomplish will also require the approval of the Preservation Commission. And I actually talked to the chairman, Charlie Feipel, who's an architect as well as his profession down at Columbia University in Chicago. He also said that his Preservation Commission would not approve any acid washing or severe chemical cleaning. I also talked with Joe Ballerine, former Board of Trustees, and he also kind of reconfirmed that an acid chemical wash with applications would not be approved. So my approach right now is actually Charlie Feipel is looking at the plaques, looking at the stones, and I'm actually going to recommend that Charlie Feipel, Joe Ballerine, Scott Lumsden, myself, maybe Jim, we together can actually do the cleaning, and Charlie can recommend what he has done with other really expensive architectural projects. Believe it or not, people with new projects now actually want patina, and it's very valuable. If it's a new piece of copper or bronze, the clients actually request that it be structured so it looks like it has patina. So that's why, as everybody knows, Riverside has always been very historical and preserving old things in the village, even at Hauser Junior High School. When they had the project to put in new windows, they had to go through all kinds of examinations of types of windows through the school board in the village of Riverside to make sure the new windows were identical to the old windows. Cost millions of dollars. So I guess I would like to, like Jason mentioned, even though Jim has a lot of information on Marla, that Charlie Feipel, myself, Joe Ballerine, Scott Lumsden, and Jim, we look into doing this project ourselves, which will require no approvals, no
Will the village allow it?
If it's these men that are already on these commissions, they're the ones that actually make the decisions.
Okay.
So
The reason I ask is that we have a memorial almost identical to the big stone that you have here in Berwick, but it's on school board property, and it's fallen by the way over the years. Every year now, I have to go to the board and cry my heart out, raise a little hell, make them feel bad that they don't do it properly. And the superintendent now has gotten to the point where I just contact the maintenance director. George Lemby, we get scouts to come out and do the labor. Now, we're not worried on our stone about blackening the stone, but someone painted a flagpole a few years ago and the wind caught the paint and was all over the stone. So we just pressure wash it. Now, I would like to replace the plaque, but my estimated cost of replacing the plaque with a more modern plaque of bronze with a black lacquered background and then the bronze lettering in visible full relief is around $1,000. Now that's a whole lot better than $6,000 if we do not incorporate $6,000 worth of cost. I'm sorry, $5,000 of cost to lacquer the stone. It's a piece of granite. Mother Nature will sit there for the next million years and look prettier. Do we need to lacquer the stone? Do we want to lacquer the stone? Or do we just want the plaques to be more, forgive me for using this word, prettier?
Mr.
We want
Dolejs,
them not to look as dirty as they do, it makes them look pretty again.
This is one of those issues I'd like to hear a past commander speak about. What do you think, Mr. Dolejs?
I can see all these concerns, but Mr. Sisulak has done a great deal to organize important officials within the village that will ensure the job gets done at the least cost and to the best advantage. So I would recommend that we accept Mr. Sisulak's recommendation for that group of 5, I think. And I think we should officially adopt their posture and give them our support.
Just one question is, make sure, the most important thing is we've been telling people throughout the village, and it's been our promotion, is that we're gonna rededicate it by the end of May at Memorial Day. So that's the biggest thing we wanna make sure is that we meet our deadline date, so that when it comes to Memorial Day 2020, we're clean, we're done, we're ready, we can snip the ribbon and have it all done. That's the most important thing, is getting the job done. We can organize, but if it can't get across the finish line, it's all for naught, and it's our reputation within the community. So, you know, I'm all in favor of it, just let's get the job done, and so that it can be a showplace for our community, and that can be our hallmark here in Riverside.
I'd like to add a comment on Jim's information there as well. The date of Memorial Day, May 25th this year, probably will not be attained in terms of this project. Also because more important than even the cleaning of the stones and the plaques, we're still waiting for Public Works to re-landscape the area, which we paid for $7,000 last year along with the concrete footings. And they're supposedly negotiating with the Olmsted Society and the Landscape Commission. And when the Eagle Scout candidate and myself go there, we're there several times during the year, pulling out weeds, pulling out vines, picking up rocks and stones and litter. And that particular aspect is something that's really important to be finished before we have a dedication. And the cleaning of the stones and the plaques is actually easier, in my opinion, than getting through this next process of new landscape, which technically they said they would do last summer, but nothing was ever started. I don't know if they ran out of money, they used our money for something else, which probably is the case, or if they are still trying to get some negotiation with Olmsted Society and the Landscape Commission, which actually are the same organization. In my opinion, landscape is obviously very important. The gentleman who is in Kentucky, who is the nephew of one of the Riverside 54, they want to be here along with all their family members from Kentucky and even the suburbs, but they stated they don't want to spend thousands of dollars traveling, hotels, rooms, food, until the landscape is done, until everything is actually ready. So the date, May 25th this year, is good, but it won't be acquired. And I'm actually suggesting we have to wait until these 2 projects are done. Then we can actually set a 100th anniversary rededication. According to Bob Uphues, the Gold Star Memorial, the 100th anniversary is not until May of 2021.
I'm going to move that we table this, and I'm going to contact Mr. Bailey, and I'm going to have a long talk with him, because I need to know what's going on, if we indeed, because I've tried to find the information that he originally sent to me, and I can't. If they're going to do the landscaping, great, but guys, I want to tell you all, again, I'm going to take this, but guys, I want to tell you this. I want this memorial thing done. I want closure with it.
When you
Coach has been working on it for 10 years. Then I came aboard and said, okay, let's throw money at the village. They couldn't say no to money at the village for the village. Okay, great. But they only gave us part of what we wanted. They basically set the cement in and everything like that. Well, the last time I ran past the stone, Last time I ran past the memorial, all I could think about is it doesn't look very good, okay? I know structurally it's better, and that makes me feel good, so I don't see a big stone sinking anymore, but I don't see a memorial that I think is at the standard that we would want.
Correct. And
It's just,
the major project obviously has been completed. The 5-foot deep concrete footings with steel rebar, the stones will never sink any longer. That was the main focus. The flagpole was painted. There are new spotlights aimed at the flag, and Public Works also made sure that some of the branches on the oak tree were cut because the branches were blocking the spotlight. So they were trimmed off already this winter. But once again, the landscape has to be finished, and it's something actually that makes the entire area.
Coach, I have a dumb question. What prevents us from getting Boy Scouts, going over to Home Depot or Amling's Flowerland or someplace, buying a pickup truck full of assorted plants that we want?
No.
That's right.
You can't put a plant in the ground?
No.
Public property, no.
We have to be insured. He said that, Mr. Bailey told me that Public Works directly is responsible for all of that. When I brought up community events, it came down to insurance and it came down to their Adopt-A-Bed program where you can sponsor the area, but it's.
We paid them to do the job and they're not doing the job. So
Right.
if they don't do
Memorial was
it,
in their budget last year.
yeah, then we need
They
to
would've
call the
done
press
that.
and embarrass them because this is ridiculous.
Well, before you do that, Joe, when you communicate with Director Bailey, could you forward me those copies of the email, those communications, please?
yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm tabling this. We're gonna move on to the next thing. Memorial Day. Coach, can you give everybody a brief update on Memorial Day in terms of, and if you could just, because we're about to go over the hour time limit, so give me like about 2-3 minutes overview and what we need to do and where we stand. Could you do that?
Okay, certainly. Also for Marva, the meeting I had with St. Mary's Church and Father Thomas May, they have confirmed the date, which is Memorial Day Monday, May 25th. Program will start at 10 a.m. And then the afternoon program will start at 1 p.m., which is at the Gold Star Memorial Flagpole. The program, once again, at St. Mary's will be inside the Parish Center, that new gymnasium auditorium, where last year we honored Mr. Richard Dolejs, honored Riverside veteran. The one change, however, so Marla can publicize the date and the time. The one change this year, however, we usually set up on Friday with the St. Mary's custodian, 550 chairs, the stage, the microphone, everything. This year, however, there's a special St. Mary's school program on Saturday, so we won't actually be able to put everything in order until Sunday after church. So I would actually probably like to see if there's any volunteers who could help just put the chairs in the right configuration and the stage sometime Sunday after church at St. Mary's, so it's ready for Monday morning. The chairs, the stage, I'm assuming, I'm going to talk with Manny, the head custodian. I'm assuming all that will be already in the gymnasium for their school program, which is on Saturday. That's the only one variation. We've always set up everything Friday, so it's set in place for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, ready to go Monday morning.
Okay.
The
I'll
afternoon,
I'll help you. I'll help you out on Sunday. So.
okay, the afternoon program at 1 o'clock will be once again meeting at the flagpole. Hopefully, if Gunny Tom Day can be present. We had 1 rifle, firing squad, 3 rounds by Dan Creek. We'll get another rifleman, maybe Jason this year. He didn't shoot rifles in the submarine, I guess. Nope. So, and then Gunny Tom Day played taps. We then escorted the Navy wreath down to the Des Plaines River, and the veteran who was present has the honor of placing the wreath in the river in honor of all Americans killed and buried at sea. That program usually takes about 45 minutes, and that's generally the time frame. 10 o'clock for the indoor program, 1 o'clock for the outdoor program at the flagpole.
And then also, just so you know, I sent you a CC'd you all letter, but everybody should know I sent an email, sent a letter to Chris Wallace, inviting Chris Wallace to attend our event and to re-interview Colonel Day. So he knows what's going to happen, but if you don't ask, you can't get an answer. So I asked if for some reason Chris Wallace wants to come to Riverside, great. Coach, you'll just have to adapt to the fact that there'll be cameras, but it's highly unlikely, but you never know unless you ask, okay? So he's got a letter.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Correct.
Absolutely, Mr. Dolejs, absolutely. And then Marla and everybody else, again, I just need to reaccentuate. If we can get corporate sponsorship for $1,000 for the 500, Coach told me the other day that we had 500 last year. I would like everybody to have a poppy.
American Legion poppy.
Thank you, Jim. You're keeping me honest. I appreciate that.
I like those VFW guys, but hey, charity starts at home.
Got it.
Man, there's not more Bobbies. I have a whole case of 1,000 for sale.
Yay!
No. You don't understand, Mr. Ward. I know you came over the border and with your passport from Berwyn to Riverside, but it's hard to sell these poppies here. So it's just better if we get a corporate sponsor and everybody walks in with a poppy that's sponsored by somebody, and either Coach or I can go on the stage and say, and oh, by the way, we want to thank Flood Brothers for donating, for underwriting the cost of your poppy today. Let's give a round of applause to a veteran-friendly organization. That's what I want. That's what I'd like to do for Memorial Day. I know that sounds very corporate in nature, but money is money and funding is funding, and I need somebody to fund the poppies. Does that make sense?
That's absolutely positively right.
Okay. Hey, Coach, thank you. And as always, we will Coach, just let me know what the costs are for the printing of the flyer, okay? So we got to know that.
Programs, okay?
Yeah.
And one more thing regarding the video recording of Memorial Day. Riverside Channel 6 already has the date on their calendar. They really look forward to this event. They have usually 7 cameras. And one year when we honored John Farnham, U.S. Marine, Channel 7, Chicago Television, recorded the entire program as well, since he worked for Channel 7. So any other televisions or companies, they're also welcome.
Marla, with the passing of Mr. Farnham and with what Coach just mentioned, if there would be a way to get some of those past Memorial Day functions on our website, I don't know how you would do that, but that could be an interesting idea. Just a thought.
Like footage?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all presently on YouTube,
Yep.
as well as Riverside TV, dating back to the first one for the Family Educational Program of May 25th, 2009.
That would be nice if we could.
Do you want me to, so we're like dedicating the program, correct?
Pardon?
Are you like dedicating the program
No.
to?
I mean, no, in terms of he was referring to getting copies of previous videos.
Right. I mean, are you dedicating the program to like those who?
Yeah, actually the program there is a dedication within the program, but it'd be great if we had all of them on the website so people could get one-shot access on our website. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, he mentioned Mr. Farnham, so I didn't know. if-
Well, it would be nice if we could put something on our website. Hey, you know, we are sorry, we are sad, we are sorry for the passing of Mr. Farnham. The community and the Post honored him. Please watch this and remember him with the joy in your hearts or something. You see what I'm saying? Because you know what Coach has done, whether he realizes it or not over the years, is he's actually created an oral history, just like the Pritzker Museum did with Mr. Dolejs recently. And oral histories are important because we're not going to be here forever, and you cannot remember the past if you don't have a recording of it. And we have something that honored Mr. Farnham. Let's try to see if we can get that out there so people can see it in the community.
If you look on the
Got it.
If you look on the back page of the program, Dr. Farnham was honored in 2013 as the honored Riverside veteran.
So also ABC7 Chicago on their news had a small segment about
And that video would be-
Donald Farnham as well. That was shared on our Facebook page, but if that could also be put on the webpage.
Yeah, because right now I don't know anything about services from Mr. Farnham. Mr. Sullivan has been trying to keep me up to date. He sent me an email earlier today or last night. Nobody knows what the situation is with services. As soon as anybody finds out about services, please let me know so I can put it out to everybody, because I would like people to be able to go to the services with their cap on and communicate their condolences. But I will also I will also purchase flowers on behalf of the Post to be sent wherever, because we've done that since I took over as Post Commander, and I think it's the right thing to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Additional information, like Alex mentioned, the family hasn't decided a date or specific location because one of Don Farnham's daughters has been living overseas in a different country, and she's returning back home to Riverside, and then the family together with all the sons and daughters, grandchildren will make a decision, because it's entirely possible that there could be several hundred people that will attend. So they have to decide where and what time, what day. Currently, they tentatively stated it will be inside Ivan's funeral home, but that's not large enough for several hundred people.
Might I suggest the Union Hall in Countryside?
150?
Yeah, 150. That's huge. Trust me, I've experienced a large event there. Okay, Marla, is there anything from you for the group?
No, everything I really had was on the memorial, but that's pretty heated. So.
No, it's not heated. We're moving forward. As long as we move forward, I'm okay with it. But I will tell you, I want that memorial has been something of a goal of mine for some time. I want it. My ultimate goal is that memorial is going to have the Guthrie sign taken off, and we're going to put the award on it. We're going to have a letter to the future on the back of that rock. And then that memorial is going to look great, so that the only thing we have to do is maintenance. And when I say maintenance, I mean we will keep that the escrow account at Riverside National for the purposes of people donating just to support the memorial, so that that the Post can always be involved. Because one thing I realize with Riverside, and it's taken me almost how many decades to realize this, is that when you come with money in your hands, people will in fact recognize you and listen to you. So we always have to have money in hands as the Post and be ready to help. Because when you're nice and kind and happy, people will more likely talk to you than when you're not nice and kind and happy.
It's all about the green.
And I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
You can't pay the village of Riverside to do things in advance.
Correct.
And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was Coach is still working on the 4th of July SAL fundraising. Coach, you have anything more since the last meeting about what you're going to do in terms of making root beer floats or something at 4th of July?
I had a long discussion with Ron at Riverside Recreation a couple of weeks ago, and I placed the formal application for being a unit, American Legion as well as Sons of American Legion, in the Riverside Parade, and then also reserving a booth, which I specifically asked Ron if we could have our booth in Guthrie Park right close next to the flagpole, which he said no problem. As of right now, we're aiming towards what I did with my Riverside Brookfield gymnastics team, is hopefully have a pop-up tent if we can find one, and several coolers, if not maybe a small reefer truck, refrigerated truck.
Thank you. Refrigerator truck sounds much better. And refrigerated, say refrigerated truck, a reefer truck brings interesting connotations to my mind.
So what would be the plan is, if we have several American Legion members, Sons of American Legion, that can ride in the parade, or if they decide to walk, that's fine, but usually it's 90 degrees, 95 degrees, so walking might be a problem. At the booth in Guthrie Park, the first idea is to make root beer floats, which would involve root beer and vanilla ice cream, so we need the ice cream to stay cold somehow. Or another idea would be sell like frozen yogurts and use that as a partial fundraiser, as well as exposure in Guthrie Park where everybody congregates after the parade.
Keep the ice cream cold, dry ice.
That would also work. With my gymnastics team, we had several coolers. We didn't have any dry ice, we had ice. So there might be a $25 fee associated with the booth, but I'll find out from Ron later. So right now it's definite go if everybody is eager to participate, as those that are in town and are able to.
Okay, that was the last thing. I'm going to throw it open for any discussion, or if you wish, we can close the meeting and just kind of talk around it. Let's just throw it. Is there anything else for people? Is there anything happening going on? I do know I got an email from Colonel Day today. March 8th is his birthday, and he's going to be having sodas and cake and stuff like that at his house, so he has invited all of you. So go.
He
At once.
turns 80 years old as well.
Yes. So that's my additional thing to say to everybody, but I was going to put that out by email. Let me go around the room. Anything else from anybody else before I?
Yes, sir, Commander.
Yes, sir.
Commander and I have had discussion. I've been talking to the director of the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, Lieutenant Chaplain, sent me a representative. I'm also talking to Ed Stenson at the Principal Military Museum. This December 7th marks 79 years since the attack on Pearl Harbor. We have a couple of members of this post who served in World War II. Am I not correct?
There might be one, Mr. Dolejs.
I am planning, and I'm only in the beginning plan of putting together a big, and I do mean this will be like Ed Sullivan, it's going to be a really big, big shoot. I'd like to honor every living World War II veteran that we can find at Navy Pier in the ballroom on 7 December 2020. And the reason I'm not going to wait till 2021, average mean age 97 plus.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off because I have some strict guidelines I want to make certain it doesn't happen. I don't want politicians taking this over. I don't want the city of Chicago to turn into a city of Chicago shit show. Excuse my expression.
Remember, we are recording this.
I only want to, for whatever reason, honor these last living members of history. I want to give them a chance to sit down together. For anyone who served from 7 December 1941 to 25 August 1945, and sit down and be recognized for what they are, the greatest generation. A chance to sit down and break bread with what's left of their comrades, and we stand back in the backside and say, thank you. This is gonna be a big undertaking. It's gonna involve a lot of money. It's gonna involve a lot of hard work. I'm gonna need people to help handle stuff like negotiate with my peer for renting the hall or if they're gonna donate it. Figure out a transportation system, how to get these guys there. We can't expect them to be there at 7:55 when we do our regular ceremony, which is done by a borough impost, forgive me. But I would like to ensure that we either do a brunch or a luncheon to give these guys, and I'm gonna use this term, a last hurrah. I think we owe them that. Now, it's gotten so bad that in Pearl Harbor, there are no survivors on 7 December. They can't get there anymore. But if we don't do something, and my consideration as per the commander's request, if we can get, if nothing else, the backing, not financially, of the Pritzker Museum, if we could get 100 to 150, that's just a number I'm throwing out there, it gives the museum a chance to get these oral histories before it's too late. Now, I don't know if you guys think this is crazy, but I make no small plans. They don't stir men's souls.
Mr. Ward, I always encourage you to shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you can always hit that star, okay?
I'm going for Mars this time, and if we get to the moon on the backside, we're good. But I don't think I'm doing the wrong thing, and I'm not doing it, I don't care about me. When I'm gone, then you guys can figure out what to do at that time. But if anybody's got any ideas, or after I get the base formula down as to how we're gonna do this, and some of the small details worked out, I'll come back and head you up to let you know what's going on. If someone may say, well, that's in December, that's 10 months away. I'm planning an event that possibly should have taken a year. And I'm gonna try to pull it off in 10 months. And if I don't make it 110%, it won't be for lack of trying. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. Yes, sir.
I was just thinking, I don't know if maybe Pure would work. I mean, that might be a big undertaking. My suggestion, if it doesn't work, I think Heinz Hospital could sponsor something.
I've already talked to the director about it. I'm working with them. They would definitely be part of the entourage. But we're going to have to reach out to political parties, mayors, aldermen, for donations. And I have no problem with the political campaign for Alex's re-election campaign sending us a check. I'm not going to list or sponsor Alex as a candidate because we can't do it. We're not allowed to do that.
I have a $0 budget, so.
Okay. Well, one of my major concerns is the fact that, you know how politicians in some communities like Chicago are. They'll be running around taking pictures of these guys, and before you know it, the pictures will end up on their re-election campaigns. That ain't what we're doing this. It's not to get you re-elected or elected. It's to honor these guys that did something that gives you the freedom to do what you're doing today. I'm not doing this to get you elected or re-elected. I don't care. You want to get elected or re-elected? Fine. Hand me $5,000 and maybe I might consider taking off my Legion hat and shirt and I'll back you. But I'm not doing this for that purpose. Not about that. It's about us remembering that at some point in time, some of us are going to be in the same boat that these men are. Those of us from Vietnam and the eras past that, at some period of time, we're going to be in their shoes.
Mr. Ward?
If we set an example, maybe the generations coming behind us will remember that example and it will not fade into history.
Mr. Ward, what I would ask is that continue this discussion after the meeting is over food, and see what information you can drum up. I know Jim Connelly knows some people at Navy Pier. I've connected you with Pritzker. You're going to be with Pritzker's museum, and I think you're going to be talking hopefully with Colonel Pritzker in the near future. But I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's bad. And if I had to pick somebody to make something like this happen, I'd pick you.
Thank you, sir.
So you know that. I mean that sincerely. It's from the heart. Is there anything else from anybody else that we just want to put out? That yes, sir.
As you know, Combined Veterans of Berwyn have done an event in Proxima Park in Berwyn called the Combined Veterans Luncheon and Expo. This post was part of it. Our affiliate organizations, Guardian Corps and Pritzker Museum, were also part of it last year. This year, we are expanding that event to include a job fair.
When is that going to be again?
We're expanding it to include a job fair.
When?
July 18th.
July 18th.
I got flyers with me. We'll pass those out so you guys can spread the word about that.
I'd like to support that like we did last year, and let's work out details as we get closer. But I would like to have I'd like to have presence. But would you also talk to Coach before you leave tonight, and Mr. Connelly, the Vice Commander Connelly, because I think this would be a great opportunity for the SAL squadron to show itself across the border.
Absolutely.
The tunnel will be open.
I'm not touching that one. Is there, okay, but keep that in mind, because because again, Coach can get, being a squadron commander, being a squadron for Riverside does not mean that we just take Riverside students. We take students from anywhere. We have Boy Scouts in Riverside that are from Stickney, from Berwyn. There's no reason why we can't have SAL members from everywhere. And again, I want Coach and Mr. Connelly, Coach and Jim, to have their army of youth learning and growing and having their mentorship. It's our future. That's one reason why the squadron is so critical for our post. It's them. It's that youth that we need to be thinking about, because, well, you know, we can't bring non-veterans into the American Legion, but we can bring sons of veterans into the American Legion through the squadron. That's the tool. And it's very educational. It's good for the community. It's good for the kids. It's good for Coach. It's good for Jim. It's just overall good. Okay, so talk to them before you leave tonight, okay? Coach, talk to them.
Accepted. Sounds fine.
Thank you. Anything else from everybody before I close the meeting, and then I will just do a free-for-all? Yes, Marla.
So when you talk about corporate sponsorship for the poppies, what is the pricing on that?
I'm looking at $2 a poppy. That's fair. Don't you think that's fair, Jason? You think $2 is fair, or should I be asking for $100 a poppy? $500,000. I like that. No, that's not going to work. No, but Marla, it's 200. We came up with a price of $2 a poppy, so that we can at least get. I can't remember how much we paid for the poppies, but it's a good rate of return, and it helps us operationally there.
And what do they get in return?
They'll be thanked publicly. And I'll even send them a letter, and I may even work this summer on getting them a letter of appreciation from, or a certificate of appreciation from the American Legion.
Okay, but so we'll have a banner with their logos on it or something.
We haven't done banners in the past, Coach, but we could put something in the booklet, could we not? The flyer, could we put something, Coach, in thank you very much to Acme for helping us underwrite?
Or a banner in the lobby.
Yeah, banners cost money.
There could be a poster.
I got a free poster printer at the library.
Okay, fine. Then we could have a poster if need be, Marla.
Once again, like Commander Joe mentioned, we can't actually sell the poppies $2 a piece unless we go through all of the permits, which that's why we're looking for somebody to pay for all of it and then give them away.
Gotcha. Are we doing a minimum? 50?
500.
That's my bro tried to 500. They gave me a number. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's good. Double that.
500 poppies, because Coach said they had 500 people last year at the memorial. So everybody walks in and everybody gets a poppy. And so when Coach looks across the audience, he sees covers from Sons of the American Legion, covers from American Legion. And if not, he sees poppies. And so it's a way to get through to people and to remind people of what they're there for and remind them for the rest of the day.
And let's not leave money on the table, so if somebody at the Riverside store or an insurance company, all that, want to, during the week, say, you sponsored us, let's say they need $50 and we need 25 copies or whatever, they can hand them out to their customers.
Yes. Yeah, I have no problems with handing out copies to somebody that wants to sponsor it too, Marla. That would be great too. Because I just don't want to be in the business of all of us handing out poppies for, how much was it again, Jim? How much they wanted for liability? Was it $500?
Oh, it's almost $600 now.
Okay.
Wow.
Just to hand them out?
Just to be in the street
For a permit.
for the permit.
Just to hand out copies?
on the insurance? Yeah.
Well, the insurance, we gotta.
Nobody stows it, and they can control who's standing in the street to keep outsiders or flim-flammers from doing it, so they can say.
So they require liability insurance, and the cheapest rate we could get was about $500, $600, $500.
Is that through J&L?
I believe so. There's other providers.
No, it was actually from farmers. We are farmers.
That's basically insurance barbecue. Do I know something you have to do?
Why give someone else money when we can think outside the box and stick it right up?
Yes. Anything else for anybody else? Because otherwise I'm going to stop recording and then open it for a free fall.
One additional comment. I'd like to get,
Yes.
hopefully approval from the group, which I don't think will be a problem. But once again, going back to the Gold Star Memorial landscaping, the previous landscaping, which was from Olmsted Society Landscape Commission, this was brought up during many of the meetings we had in terms of preserving the site, which the village trustees gave 100% support. That's why it's still where it has been for 100 years. The actual landscaping, which I'll have to do negotiating with, hopefully successfully, but what I would like to recommend and see what the opinion is, Olmsted Society Landscape have continually stated they will never allow flowers. They will never allow colorful plantings, which Joe Ballerine and Scott Lumsden were furious about. That's what a memorial site should include. The current plantings also include what I just realized back in October, buffalo grass, several other tall vines, which actually hide the stones, which has been one of their goals. Olmsted Society does not want that to be visible, which in my opinion is totally opposite of what we want. We want people to see it. We want them to know what it is. We want them to go there. Not even Ed Bailey kind of referred to the fact that the landscaping will be exactly as it has been. Nobody will really know that the site exists. So I just want a confirmation, everybody here, that is something they all agree I should keep fighting for. Flowers, no tall plants or buffalo grass that will hide the stones. Yes.
Did he say anything about having large planters like they have on Harlem Avenue, which are above the ground, and then planting in there?
That was never brought up.
We might want to consider that. Well, when I was with the Chamber of Commerce, I mean, Harlem Avenue is a different animal than we have.
Great.
We got them out there. The board at that time approved it. The chamber was behind it. And now, of course, they have the raised planters here in downtown. So having them in the ground might not be the same ruling as having them in those large planters.
Okay.
So that
That's
might be a
another idea to
direction
consider.
that.
I think, in my opinion, I think the Olmsted Society is doing everything it can to ensure that it can take that property over. What is a memorial what is a veterans memorial that you can't put flowers on?
Correct. In fact,
You might have to file a special permit application.
Another permit,
Well,
another
there's
insurance.
a reason why we have these checks and balances.
Coach, what I would ask, I would say that I would make a decision that there's unanimous consent for you to keep going forward. But what I would ask you to do is, based on discussion earlier, I would ask you to just give me like a one-page written proposal of who you want to do the cleaning and the designs, and then what your intent is so that I can ultimately talk to Mr. Bailey and I can negotiate something that everybody can live with and be happy with. Is that okay?
I guess I'd like to see what other men and women
No,
here.
we agree, I think we all agree. Motion to accept.
Yeah, the unanimous consent. Unanimous consent. That's unanimous consent. In other words, we all agree.
Yes.
Because my original plan, 12 years ago, was have flowers, little trees, pine trees, miniature, which would have something beautiful every season. Spring flowers, summer flowers, fall, and even winter would be like holly or little pine trees, so that it's gorgeous and presentable and honorable all seasons of the year.
And who's gonna water these flowers?
That's why I'm working with the Scouts, Troop 24, and these men,
I mean, we gave.
so that we can
DPW
teach
money.
them
I'm just saying.
how to care for them. But one thing I did notice, which also was brought up at a previous meeting, the Olmsted Society actually recruits volunteers from Riverside, hundreds, for their 12 different cleanup days throughout the year. So they have citizens of Riverside, even people not in Riverside, who actually show up at the site, whether it's Indian Gardens or Boy Scout Cabin or Big Ballpark, on a Saturday, and they all work for like 5 hours, pulling weeds, taking out vines. So I think there would be never a problem with having scouts help on scheduled days for cleanup. If Olmsted Society got that through the village, and we have a vote right here in the room, I don't think there would be a problem with future scouts and scout leaders.
Okay, well, I move that there be unanimous consent for you to support for you to going forward. But again, I would like a proposal based on what you said. Motion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I'm going to declare this meeting of Post 488 American Legion Department of Illinois adjourned. I'm going to stop.